hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And you know, I have a special co-host today.
What? Oh, dang it! Oh, hello everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992 with this reprobate, and I'm known for the furry fantasy adventure that he wrote, Tall Tales, that I illustrate, and also for my own book, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is currently on Kickstarter right now.
Cool.
What's up, everybody? I'm excited. I don't normally get to spend time on a stream with Daphne. You know what I mean? She's the real brains in the household.
Oh, brother.
And I'm excited, to be able to not have to dumb myself down for, somebody else, right? No. Well, what you call it?
You mean you had to do that all this time?
All the time. But
I thought it just came naturally.
You thought shade would only come from one side, huh?
Yeah. Listen, happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you and also with you, and to get all the jokes out the way. Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
First, when we confuse pop media with Catholicism.
Nick, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Nick Capone. I am a New Jersey-based comic book creator and also colorist. Colors before creator for about 9 years. I've colored for IDW, Archie, Image. I've done more indie products too. I'm currently coloring Ninja Witch by Justin Hunt at Mythos Comics Group. And I'm also a creator. So I created Purity, which is currently live on Kickstarter right now, the 3rd issue. And I've also co-created Reign of Ages with Sonoma Publishing.
All right, very nice. We also got on Phil Russer. How you doing, Phil?
Hey, everybody. In honor of Star Wars, the only thing a stormtrooper can hit. I'm Phil Russert out of New York. I am a writer, editor, publisher, and soon distributor.
All right. Very nice.
Oh, and Papa's live right now. Sorry, on Kickstarter. It's gonna switch to about 4 days to go in about an hour.
Okay. Cool. And we got Chris. What's up, Chris?
Daphne says she did all this in 1992.
I started, yeah.
I was born 1992.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah,
we liked you for a minute there.
I didn't know if I should say something or not, but
now you know.
So being as long as Daphne's tenure is, I am also a writer, comic book creator of Jazz, Juggernauts Against Zealous Zealots, Dream Match Revolution, and Good Blood Money, which Jazz is currently live on Kickstarter for the next 2 days.
All right, cool. Nice. All right, we're missing one. Maybe he'll show up. Maybe he won't. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Sometimes they come in late.
Also, all the links to all our campaigns are in the chat.
Way to be.
All right. See, that's why. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. He showed up. What's up, Braden?
So I thought you were 7:45 instead of 7:25. Hey, how's it going? But I was here. My bad.
All right, you made it. Introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, Braden Valoria, Haven Comic. I do indie comics. Launched Haven earlier this year, and Sketch Night is in pre-launch.
All right, cool. Braden, if you got any campaign running or the pre-launch page, put in the private chat.
Yes, perfect.
All right, so let's get down to the first question. Missed opportunities. We've all had them, right? Who here hasn't had a missed opportunity, right? We've all had them, right? How do you feel about them? And do me a favor, tell us about one without getting yourself or anybody else into trouble. Tell us about one missed opportunity that you had during your career as an indie creator. All right. All right. I'm not gonna throw it on Brady because he just walked in. He's probably just getting himself together. So Nick, it's on you. Tell me or tell us.
Without giving it away, there was a really fun opportunity to work on this one indie book. And, I slept on it for, a little bit, in a sense of, the person announced that they were looking for a colorist, and, I was so like, it really came down to just scheduling. Like, I really wanted to work on the book, but at the time I felt like, no, this book I'm on is going to remain for a long time. It's okay. Like, it's fine. And then lo and behold, that book that I was on fell through, and the other person for the book I wanted to work on chose another colorist. And I'm like, man, it was about like 4 years ago. And I was like, to this day, I was still salty about it. But I think it's ultimately, in my opinion, you move forward from it, but still there's some moments where you like look back, you're like, I should have handled that a little differently.
Yep, we've all been there. Phil, what are your thoughts?
You're gonna hate my answer, but I don't feel like I've ever missed an opportunity because I don't believe in missed opportunities. I think things happen for a reason, when you're ready for them, and I don't like to look back on things like that. And honestly, it drives my wife crazy, but I just don't care. I'd rather not be living with regret, so I just keep trying at whatever I want to do. And, whether I succeed or fail, at least I know I gave it my best and it just wasn't in the cards. So I've never really been one to think missed opportunities. Sorry if that's a shitty answer, but I don't know. Kind of like Kirk doesn't believe in a no-win scenario. I don't believe in missed opportunities. I think that they'll present themselves if you get to the point where you're the person you need to be and in the place you need to be. And that's when they work out.
All right, fair enough. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Sorry, I was on mute. The only time that I had it 2 years ago, back when Twitter actually advertised correctly with their really perfect algorithm, I got in front of a publisher, and I didn't believe that this publisher was real. So I thought it was like a bot, and without saying the name of them, I turned down their request for more information on one of my books, and a year later, that same publisher now has like 6 different indie titles and are doing fantastic, and they won't return my phone calls. So, shit happens.
Yeah, like I said, it happens. Braden, what are your thoughts?
Besides Almost Today, yeah, there was an anthology probably a couple months back, and I just had missed the deadline there for it. Yeah, and it sucked because getting writing gigs and stuff is hard, and it turned out to be a really, really cool anthology. Yeah, that's one that I definitely missed out on for sure.
All right, cool. Mr. Rosario.
Yeah. Before I answer, I want to roll this back. I was graduating high school in '92, so I'm feeling my age also with that.
I can't help it. I'm so sorry.
Makes me feel worse. I was born in '95.
Oh my god! Jeez. No.
I'm going to start ejecting people in a minute.
All right. Missed opportunities. Sometime back. When did the movie Ted 2 come out?
Ted 2.
2015? 16? Something like that.
2015.
2015. So 2014, the producers or whoever came by the booth. I wasn't there. I was at a family member's wedding that day, and I had I had a cousin on the other side of the family running the booth for me. Didn't take their information. Didn't tell me who stopped by the booth, right? But here I am watching Ted 2, which took place, at New York Comic Con. It wasn't. It was staged, but they had a buddy of mine who was there, right? One of your booth mates. And if you ever seen a Coppertone ad with a zombie grabbing a bikini clad girl on the beach that resembled the old Coppertone ad, they had him and they had his booth all set up in the movie. So I hit him up. I'm like, bro, I just saw you. That's awesome, man. And he goes, yeah, how come you weren't there? What are you talking about? He says, yeah, after they spoke to me, I sent it to your booth, man. I was expecting your stuff to be up there with me. And so how did I deal with it after the fact? That relative is no longer working with me at any convention ever. And whenever somebody plans to do something during the weekend of New York Comic Con, you know what? The week prior and the week after, it's just like it's a no-go. No, do not expect me to attend. Do not look for me. Do not even invite me. All right, because I cannot miss out on anything that could possibly happen, like being in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Daphne, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if this was a missed opportunity as much as it was a dodged bullet. But I had the opportunity to, it was so I had the opportunity to interview at Marvel, while I was at SVA. There was this guy who needed an assistant. And it was the easiest job it could have been. It's like he just needed somebody to, like clean up his pages and do the borders and the whole thing when everything was done by hand. And, and it's like, and everything was cool up until that point. He's like, oh yeah, come down to the offices. I'll give you a tour and this, that, and the other thing. And I asked him, it's like, can I bring a friend along? He's like, oh yeah, sure. I never became unqualified so quickly when they saw Jose walk through the door.
Cock, block, and SOB,
Pretty much.
Yeah. So it's like, after that whole thing, I mean, he gave us the whole tour and everything.
He did.
But after that, it's like, you're not the right person for the job. We just think that it's the type of job that you'll get bored with really quick and all that. It's like, oh, funny. You weren't saying that before this. So, and then I never bothered, after that. Although the whole dodged bullet thing, I didn't realize. I probably didn't realize it until maybe several years ago, when I guess some nonsense was bubbling up, and I'm going, wait a minute. So yeah. Yeah.
For myself, there's so many, but I'll bring up this one because this one, youth was so stupid. Daphne, and because she had come to me with it, has spoken to George Perez.
Yeah.
And he was willing to do a cover for us. Yeah. He was willing to do a cover for us. And at the time, George was mad cool. Not like he ever wasn't. He was always cool. But he had his professional price where he charged Marvel and DC. And he had another price for indies though. And it was $300 at the time.
Yeah.
And it's not like we couldn't afford it. It's just that we were young and
stupid and thought that we had all the time in the world to get back to him. And mind you, that same convention, I had spoken to Joe Linsner.
Yeah,
for a cover. And except Joe Linsner panicked at my request because I was asking him to pretty much paint furries. And he was like, oh, no. But when I talked to George, I don't know. I don't know. It's I had more confidence in myself back then. But when I spoke to George, I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. And it's Man,
Yeah.
man.
If there was any opportunity that I regret, it was probably not hiring George
Yeah.
Perez to do a cover for us.
It's like, yeah, it's like I've lived with regret so long. I should ask that bitch for rent.
All right. I mean, yeah, me too. Jay, stop paying.
What? I didn't even hear you.
I said I've been living with that bitch too, so I say you should start paying.
You don't pay me. Get out of here.
No, Anyway, I think Nick got it. But anyway, Daphne, what's your question?
Well, we all, as creators, we all love to talk about how we create our work, from the heart. And it's like, and we all, it's like, oh, we all write for ourselves, and it's like, oh, we've had these ideas since we were kids, and all that, right? Or whatever the story is, right? How much of that it's like, how much of that in the work that you're doing now is still the case that this is kind of like, for lack of a better phrase, your passion project? Or has it become, how much adulterated has it become with the idea of like, well, I need to kind of fix this up to be marketable?
Fair. Phil, you're not sir.
That's a tough question because I remember hearing some famous people say, you don't write for the fans, you write for yourself. And I used to think that was like a selfish thing, like what the hell are you talking about? And then I kind of understood what they were saying. They were saying you can't please everybody with your writing. So if you try to gear your writing to a certain demographic or for the sake of pleasing people, it's never going to work, because you're going to wind up with a poor story, because for the percentage that likes it, there's always going to be someone that doesn't. I mean, you could write the greatest thing in the world, there's people that hate the Bible, there's people that hate the Mona Lisa, there's people, so you can create whatever, and someone's going to not like it. So when I came to that crossroads, I said, I'm just going to write what I want to write, and if it's good enough and it stands on its feet and I get it out there, people, it'll catch on. So I guess to say, I don't change what I write to be marketable, but I do change my marketing plan, because if I don't believe in what I'm writing, then why should you?
Okay, that's fair. Chris, what are your thoughts?
When I first started this, I followed a bunch of creators about kind of on their own standards of what they should do or what they were doing. And I realized that we didn't have the same goals. So my aspects kind of changed more to my little niche market, little reader base that I have. And I've just kind of been focusing on them. And that makes the whole thing easier.
Okay, that's fair. Braden, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think with kind of what I create, I think I get to take a lot of the things that I used to love as a kid. So like your Cowboy Bebops, your kind of like anime influences, stuff like that, and different cartoons and heroes and stuff like that. I get to take all those influences and kind of push them out, put my spin on them, and kind of breathe them out into the world. I think there's a little bit of like, in terms of like marketing, like what am I going to push for just like kind of like my own series, and what am I going to push to like a publisher? Like I might be doing like a sci-fi thing and kind of shop that around. But then like Haven and kind of my more like superhero stuff, might just be for me and kind of building that up. Yeah.
All right, cool. Nick, what do you think?
So I started, as weird as it sounds, I started diving into, the genres that I work with, like just like especially like Bad Girl books, for example, I started in my early teens reading those books and probably shouldn't have read them in my early teens. However, I spent a lot of time studying, and and then I came up with the idea, and then 15 years later, I made it, and there's still that passion for it. There's still, but after studying even how people present those kinds of books today, it's really changed. Like I looked back at my product and be like, maybe this idea has to be tweaked a little more for it to be sellable. Like at first, like when I started Purity, the character went through so many different redesigns. Like when I just started out, it was almost like a kind of like a clean swipe of Marceline, the Vampire Queen from Adventure Time, if everyone's familiar with that character. And over the years, I was like looking at the way other artists were kind of drawing these characters, and I'm like, all right, so what is sellable? And I saw that people love the heaven and hell characters, people love witchy characters, people love kind of like the anti-hero characters. So I started to slowly incorporate that in Purity to make it more marketable. And even to what I've learned, and my biggest takeaway from it, even up till recently, was you could always revert to the classics, but you don't have to be bound by them. So that's kind of what I've learned and how to make Purity more marketable. So like studying other people's Kickstarters, and I think too, what I've learned recently too, in every genre, in every genre of publishing comics, is there's always like the big great, and it's always admirable to look up to them, but you should never expect to do the overnight like process that they've gone, because they've probably been working on it for decades. Like for example, a person who I'm mentioning is like Brian Pulido, for example. Like so many creators, especially people who draw Bad Girl books, they want to be like Brian overnight, and they expect their books to fund like $200,000 to $500,000 in like 24 hours, and I'm like, no, like you got to be a little more realistic too. So I've been studying even like the up and coming creators who are launching Kickstarter, see how they're doing, and like some like you realize that you don't have to be an overnight sensation. And I think that's what gradually will help make your product more marketable, because it feels more natural the way your story and your book progresses. So
cool. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, so when my original idea didn't make money, right, I had to step it all up, right? I had to go from, this is not a kid's dream, right? If I want to make this work, I need to learn, I need to apply, I need to figure out how to tell a story, I need to make sure all the pieces of the puzzle are working, right? And then once you get the ball rolling, you find out more information. You find out trying to sell to a niche market, trying to sell a niche product to a niche market, you're limiting your possibility for sales, right? So you take it, you keep going back to the drawing board, right? You keep revamping it, and you develop something that you think it's suiting your needs, right? Making you happy, making you feel like, oh yeah, this is a story I really want to tell. I can make this work with what I know, with what I've learned, and there's a market for it too. So did I touch on it, Daphne, or no?
I mean, that's your answer. So
right. I mean, look, what my kid's dream started with? I used to get those Marvel Universe handbooks, right? Remember that? Yeah, I wasn't writing comics. I was writing bios to make extra entries like that on notepads and stuff. That's what I was doing, because I couldn't draw. Right, I was 9 years old and I had dreams, but there's little nuggets in there that I did save that I can apply to what I'm doing today.
All right, cool. No, it's just all it's just all, it's just all, what I want to do with it, and I just share what I got. I don't, as far as molding it to a bigger audience is just not in the cards. At least not for the Oswald Chronicles. I mean, something like Magi's Graves was kind of a little bit more, molded, but even then I'm like, once I really get into it and I start writing more of those stories, I start going in a direction that I want to go in, and I forget the other direction. I'm just like, no, let's tell the stories we want to tell. Not it's never a thing. When I did commercial work, that's when that stuff came into my mind, right? For the period that I did it for, that's when I really focused on that. But my own work is just about what I'm doing, what I want to do, and telling the stories that I want to tell in a way that I want to tell. Because when you work for a publisher and an editor that's paying you, you got to work in a certain fashion. There's certain expectations, and you can't always tell a story from like the fourth character in the background, and they're like telling this weirdo story about your character, and you're like, okay, and you're kind of experimenting with it. You like, as a writer, you're like, okay, let's see how we can maneuver this through this course. Whereas an editor is gonna be like, no, it has to be from that character's perspective or this character's perspective, or more mainstream, something that's not going to confuse the audience. So, yeah, but I'm more of when I do my work, it's definitely for me, and it's definitely I'm sharing it with everyone. Now I try to do my best to present it in a way that everyone will like it, but sometimes it works. Listen, selling magical mice books on the Kickstarter is tough. That's all I can say. So Daphne, ask your own question.
Well, I wrote the story that I wanted to write. And in the end, it's like I had to just accept the environment that I'm in, currently. Especially like really, like finding out like, what really like moves on Kickstarter and the type of books and I mean, there was one project that I did that I specifically manufactured for a particular audience, and it was a lot of fun. But if it wasn't for one mistake that I made, I probably could have done better with that project. But like in the end, even the results, even doing that, it was just like in the end, the results just told me that it's like, you know what, stay the course. It's like each market is its own thing, and I'd rather in the end just start off finishing the story that I want to tell and find the correct environment I'm supposed to be in, as opposed to like specifically changing things because like, oh, well, if I do it this way, it'll, maybe this audience will be more interested. It's like, no, it's like I'm going to do my own thing, and I cannot be the only person who likes this thing that I'm doing. So the trick is just like finding where those people are and go to them, as opposed to trying to manipulate a situation that I don't necessarily want to be in. And like I said, even though the other project I enjoyed doing, it wasn't the effort I really in the end wanted to. I just didn't want to put all my effort into that just to make a couple of extra $1,000.
I mean, unless you jump on a trend, it's really hard to predict what fans are going to like and what's going to be the new thing. So just do your thing, and if you're lucky, you catch fire, you are the new thing, But it's too unpredictable a fan base, I think, at this point, other than jumping on a current trend, which just burns out fast anyway.
Right, exactly. And it's like, look, it's not like Eastman and Laird created the Turtles thinking they were going to be the next thing. They were just two guys fucking around and lucked out.
Yep. That is definitely what I wrote down.
Yeah.
All right. Jay, what do you got?
I got nothing. You got a loaded house. You got a lot of campaigns that you got to put on. Show people stuff off, baby. Let's go.
Jay's bailing out. He's bailing
No,
out.
Okay.
He's bailing out.
No, Jay. Ask a question.
Okay, so I will ask the question. All right. Listen, you asked me, I will ask the question. All right, I was trying to give everybody else, some airtime, but I will ask. Okay.
Don't worry, I'll cut you off when I'm ready.
Oh, you motherfucker. All right. All right. What do you do? Capitalizing tacking on to Daphne's question. All right. Do you continue to work on your passion project or that first project when you have an opportunity to do a project that maybe you're not that much interested in, but that new project will open more doors for you and you will learn things that you can apply to your passion project? Do you put that thing on the side or do you go after it?
All right, fair
Do you
enough.
put your passion project on the side, and go after it, or do you not go through that door and keep working on your project?
All right, fair enough. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I swear to God, this keyboard's sticky.
I don't
wait.
know why.
I don't
Wait,
want to
oh,
ask that.
we're not
I didn't want to ask that.
Is anybody else's keyboard not supposed to be
This
sticky?
is really the wrong crowd to say something.
So you're running an NSFW campaign, I see.
I'm just trying to practice it. You find the opportunity to make something. Like sometimes people will come to you, and this has happened to me. People will come to you and be excited for something that you are half-assing, but you can't tell them that you're half-assing it. And that's just what that is. This is like the flavor of the week. So no, you just do the project, and you may grow to like it, you may not grow to like it, but at least you'll be able to eat off of it. I think people forget.
Your passion project, or do you go through the door?
Oh, through the door.
You go through the door. Okay.
Through the door, because I would rather want to be able to eat doing this versus having a passion, because like you can't eat passion. It sucks, but you should get something out of it, and sometimes things work out the way that they do. But yeah, no, definitely passion project. I mean, not passion project, through the door project.
There you go. All right, Braden, what are your thoughts?
Can I do both? Is that are we able to do both? I'd probably work on my passion project on the side, and then kind of main focus be kind of that through the door project. Like if it sets you up with like a learning opportunity, connections and being able to grow, right? A platform, an audience. Yeah, like that's huge, right? And I like I said, I definitely wouldn't want to let my passion project die by any stretch of the imagination. Still working on it. But if I can take things right from this door, from this opportunity, from these people, experience, and put it into, down the line, my passion project, absolutely. And I don't necessarily think that everything needs to be done, like right now, right? Just because I put a pause on, the passion project or let off steam, right? A little bit. No saying I can't come back, with a straighter head and more experience.
Yeah, fair enough. Nick, what are you thinking?
So actually, when I just started in my career, I did have a passion project where I was working on a webcomic for a while, and I actually, the way I was like promoting that, I was like started to slowly build consistent followers. And then when I was at the point where it's almost like I didn't know what to do with the webcomic, so I just put it on the back burner. It allowed me to do research of, other projects to, what can entice my following, but also bring in new people in. So that's what I kind of did when I started breaking into more like the indie books, and then just seeing overall what people are buying, but what can you do different? Like, and even up till now where, how do I keep the readers engaged beyond the cover of the book? And like, that's something I'm always constantly doing more and more research on, and like how to remain consistent with that, to bring in more following. But I ultimately think, to answer the question, I think the passion project that I had kind of gave me a somewhat of a foundation to where I am now, if that makes sense. Like, it allowed me to like have a ground to work off of, and even if that plan had to go on the back burner or shelved, it would still make me aware of the following that I've gained from it. Like, I could still, essentially, I remember working with a writer who said, as long as you get or grow a fan base, if like, yeah, it's cool to get like 50, 60,000 followers off of the books you make, but if you get like 900 solid people backing your stuff or like buying whatever you produce, that's successful. So I feel like the passion project I did kind of like kick-started that for myself. So I think ultimately it's different for everyone, but for me at least, I think the passion project, while I did end it, it helped. It helped in the long run.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right. I think Daphne had to step away, so I'll answer the question. All right. So, like I said, when I was working professionally, and to also tag on to what Nick was saying, the stuff I had done before I had taken a professional work was passion work. And it was through that I was able to build the skills that I had that got me the jobs that I was able to get during that period. So it was those passion projects that I worked through that was able to get me that work. And it wasn't so much a thing of pushing the passion projects to the side. It was more of a thing of just working it, and just doing a little bit at a time on the passion stuff. Yeah, at the time I was doing it full time, so maybe the passion projects only got an hour or two a day, whereas the full time stuff got full time hours. And that's just what it is. You just put in some time. You just can't give it a bulk of your time the way you used to. Right. Yeah, and that's how I see it. I think you can still do both, but you guys gotta understand where you're at with the project, and just be realistic. Daphne, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that we kind of lucked out with that. Being able to work on 3 anime IPs at in a very short period of time. And it's like, and that's kind of like, okay, we're going to do these, and, work on these, and then like, I guess, work our other stuff around it. I don't think that there was a point where we stopped doing our stuff, or I stopped doing it. It's just that, okay, we have to fit in. It's kind of like when you're working like a regular job, and it's like, well, you don't stop doing your stuff, you just find time around it. Although the thing is, though, it's like I have learned over the years, though, that if I were offered an opportunity, it would have to be like a well-established IP. Because it's like we've had our fair share of, rando indie publishers going, oh yeah, we're going to have the next big thing and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And it's like, and those are they're like the type of projects, especially now, that it's like, no, I'm not going to waste my time with that. So yeah, it would have to be something significant. Like, I don't know, like if for some bizarre reason, it's like, it's like, oh, like a Rocket Raccoon project project falls in my lap, it's like, yeah, I'm going to figure out a way to work on that and my stuff at the same time. But like I said, if some like random publisher goes, oh, well, I have this idea, and it's like, well, you can keep it moving, because that's not going to do anything for me. I'm not going to like, put my passion project on hold to work on your passion project in the hopes that it goes anywhere where statistically it's probably not. Right. So yeah, it would have to be something significant. Also to Randy's point though, I always remember, actually it was the previous one, it's the half-assed project that always gets I always remember this anecdote from Tina Turner saying how she always hated What's Love Got to Do with It.
Really?
But her, I forgot, her producer was like, no, you have to do this song. You have to, I swear, this song is going to put you on the map. And she hated that song, but he was right. That was the song that put her on the map. So, at least in the mainstream, so yeah. Yeah, you'll see my absolutely famous lettering.
Mm. All right, Jay, answer your own question.
Well, I was thinking about, the Kirkman Manifesto, right? You go through the door, you take that opportunity, right? You're gonna learn maybe new commercial production techniques. You're gonna be introduced to, their marketing machine, and network with all those different outlets, so they could get to know your face. Your name is going to be in all these different stores because you became a part of that machine. And then when you're ready, you take all of that info, you take all of that equity you've built up with yourself and with the fan base, and you bring it back to your own passion project. Right? You can always go back on it. You can always work on it. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't gotta. I mean, if you do both at the same time, sorry guys, I in my opinion, you're gonna do a shitty job on both. Right? So just focus on one for the moment. Really, dude?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm a JD on that. I have like 3 projects on the go.
Yeah.
I wish you the best. I do. I'm not trying to shit on anybody when I say that.
I mean, you got to remember, there are multiple creators over the years who've worked on multiple projects all at the same time. Okay. I mean, people like Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, Frank Miller, John Byrne, the list goes on and on. These are people who've worked on 3, 4, 5 books at a time, sometimes in a month, and have done good books every time. So,
Yeah.
I will,
Oh, also, just for the record too, is that Randy Zimmerman, he's the only other publisher I have ever gone out of my way to do work for. Because it's like he offered the opportunity to do a mischievous story, or at least a Tales from the Aniverse story, and I go, fuck yeah, I'm in. That was one of the books that it's like from those black and white days that changed my brain chemistry, and there was no way I wasn't I was gonna pass that up just to be associated with it.
See, sometimes it has to be pure, just like purity, right? So, so Nick, walk us through this. What do we got?
All right, so this is the 3rd issue of my series Purity. So it's kind of like my love letter to the 90s. Again, reverting to the classics, but not being bound by them. It's just the new age bad girl book. If you like witches, heaven and hell stories, this is for you. In the first 2 issues, Purity, we learn, is a Puritan who was wrongfully damned to the underworld and was enslaved for 500 years. And she finds out who sent her there, her own sister, who was a witch and made a deal with the devil. So fast forward, she's sought out for revenge, and by doing so, by escaping the underworld through the gates, freezing the gates in the process, she's on the hunt for her sister. And it lands her in a very interesting position because it's no longer the 1600s Salem, it's Salem 2096. And we find out more and more what Purity's sister has been up to. Again, this is the 3rd issue of the introductory arc. There's going to be 4 issues in total and then a trade paperback. But we have some nice cover options here. I always do the main cover. And then we have Courtney Rose, who's a returning Purity cover artist. She's phenomenal. We have Art Voyager. We have Josh Howard, who was very new to me, but has a pretty good indie book out right now. Now, the Courtney cover, what's really interesting about that one is me and Courtney are both big fans of Witchblade, so we homaged Witchblade #4 with that beautiful Michael Turner cover. So this was like our version. So it's a really fun cover, one of my personal favorites. And then, Art Voyager, I took inspiration from Greg Land's Jean Grey cover minus the tracing. But yeah, like more of a fiery cover. And then going down, Josh Howard, who has more of a cartoony, graphic-y look to his style. I felt it was a really, great style to introduce into the Purity universe. Then it's not a Purity campaign without a Satan cover. Ever since issue 1, people seem to have a liking to my interpretation of Satan, kind of like a fallen angel, redhead, my kind of, love letter to, I guess, like Lady Death. But people seem to like her, so every campaign features a Satan cover. So this is the 3rd one by Todd Ferguson. And then this cover is by Antarctic Press artist Rod Espinoza. Just see more of the futuristic Salem in the background, which is really cool. And then the next cover was a fun little crossover I did with fellow creator and friend of mine, JT Malloy. So I told him, let's take it back to the 90s with this one. Let's do crossover covers. And when people back this cover, they'll also get a digital PDF of Sapphire Spectre #1. And then I also did an accompanying cover on JT's campaign launching soon, and backers of those will get a digital copy of Purity #1. So it's a really good cross-promotion deal. It's a really cool indie special. Then some of the pages in here, story, pencils and colors by me, inks by Pedro Marasco, and then incoming letters by Tori Wilkinson, all edited by Vaughn Coleman. And then some rewards. I always bring back the digital tiers every issue. Bless you. And then also for add-ons, I added on 2 if you don't want the digital catch-up tier, I also, in the add-on section, I added physical copies of issues 1 and 2. For $15, you get the digital poster by Dan Donnelly. It's a very nice homage to 90s anime in all its glory. And then all the cover tiers are 15 buckaroonies, as I like to call it. But yeah, so $15 for each cover. And then when you go all the way down, there's a mix and match tier. So say if you can't pick one cover, you mix and match 2 covers or 4 covers, depending on, the scenario. And there's also a sketch cover tier. That was one thing I noticed people asked for last campaign, and I made it more as an add-on, but I made it a full-fledged tier this time around. I have my commission tiers. And then this was a fun tier going all the way down. I offered for $500, the final tier, it's an indie special, so I kind of open the stage up for writers and other creators. They get all of the rewards, all the covers, all the digital tiers, and they'll also get an 11x17 cover commissioned by me. You get full pencils, inks, and colors. It'll be ready for your campaign. So I felt that was a cool indie deal I put out there. Get more cover work, and also someone's looking for cover artists. We have some stretch goals over here. We have each campaign has a trading card. So this time around, it's Mary Adams, Purity Sister by Fernando Ruiz, legendary Archie artist. Then we have our sticker bundle as always for 6,000, and then 6,500 we have the Sky Maiden Studios bookmark. That's my publisher who puts out Purity. And then for 7,000 you get a shout out in the book. There's going to be a thank you page. So lots of fun stuff. Like I said, it's the third issue going into the fourth. I'm aiming to launch a trade paperback next year with all 4 issues plus a bonus story. So it's definitely, you don't want to miss out on this one. There's a lot of fun stuff happening.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
Looks good. You still got 13 days. You got some hustling to do, but
Yeah.
But you can still got 13 days, so you can make it, because you got 90 backers, which is a decent amount of backers. So
Thank you.
All right, cool. It's a good looking book. So everybody go check it out. Very nice.
Thank you.
All right. And now here's one none of us can ever get away from, right? It's our pops, right? So Phil, do you want me to play this video?
If you want to. I didn't want to cut into anybody else's time.
No, it's not 4 hours, is it?
No, it's quick.
Okay.
Meet Bruce Rogers, a 75-year-old Vietnam veteran who's spending his twilight years living with his son, daughter-in-law, and 12-year-old granddaughter, Melody. Bruce and his son have an estranged relationship that has never been resolved. Melody is the light of Bruce's life, as they've formed a bond that never grew between him and his son, Craig. When a threat to Bruce's family arises, this old man must decide what he's willing to do in order to keep his family safe. What would you do? What would you sacrifice for the sake of your family?
Ignore the coming 2024. I'll explain that in a minute.
Gotcha. But anything under 90 seconds is usually really good. But we've run longer, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, short and sweet. Attention spans. There's so much out there for people to be looking at. You want to make sure that you get their attention and then let them move on. Long story short, Papa was supposed to be a 110-page graphic novel, but as you know, paying fair wages is very expensive to make. My father, who was 77 years old and bench pressing 165 pounds a day, was arrested for road rage at 75, was a very tough guy. He's from a tough generation. He wasn't into comics, but he read the script and he really liked it. And I didn't even realize when I was writing it, it was actually, it was analogous to us. And he asked me if I could get the book in his hands before it was too late, because he got diagnosed with cancer. And I said I would do the best I could. He was looking good with the cancer. He was doing okay. And then unfortunately, a new tumor came out of nowhere and took him out. So I didn't get it out in time. So now I'm putting it out chapter by chapter. That's why the art looks different, because trying to hurry up and get it done for my dad, I had a different artist on each chapter so I could get it done in a month's time. Basically, the quick version is if you take Gran Torino and Nobody, and you mix them together and throw in a twist that nobody's going to see coming, that's what you get. It's a story at the core. It's a Silver Age type tale that's, it's fun, it's action packed, it's a comic, but at the same time, women are God on the lips of men, of children's. Women are God on the lips of children, right? So I respect women. I love women. Moms are the best, but we never really talk about dads. And a lot of times dads make the sacrifice quietly. You know, they're suffering in silence. They're working the job they hate. They're grinding, but yet they're still out there tossing the ball or answering the fake phone or whatever, you know, and sometimes we grow up bitter with our dads and we don't see what they were sacrificing for us. We don't see the struggles or the pain. Like my dad had PTSD from the war. And this book goes into partly, you know, the sacrifices we make as fathers and as men, but it's also him and Melody get caught between the Yakuza and the Italian mafia, and it causes trouble for the family. And this 75-year-old war veteran has to do what he has to do to save his family, and yet find out what is his line to cross in order to do that. So it's character driven, but it has action, has, you know, comic book fun, but at the core of it, it's basically about, you know, men and the sacrifice they make and what lines do they draw in making those sacrifices. And there's been a lot of beta readers of the script, and it's getting a lot of great reviews. So I'm hoping that people help us finish strong. We do have newsprint options for all the books that are on here, especially Papa, being as, you know, Silver Age type tale. And, you know, the art speaks for itself. I work with amazing people. One of the artists is Russ Leach, that actually works for Randy Zimmerman on The Atlanteans, so you know he's great. And I love what you're doing over there, Randy, and what Russ is doing with you. So, yeah, it has a twist that nobody sees coming at the end of the first issue. So thank God we're funded, and so far I'm keeping my word to my dad. But if we can get a little more so I can, you know, put it towards the next chapter and get the 5 chapters out, I guarantee you if you read this book at the very last page, you're going to go, oh, crap, and you're going to want to see what happens in book 2. But can't take my word for it. You got to back the book and find out for yourself.
All right, cool. And you said there's going to be, what, a 4-issue limited series?
It's 5.
5-issue limited series.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. I mean, obviously, you know, when you came up with this story and you showed it to your dad, I mean, like, what was, from the point you started it to the point you gave it, was like a year or two, you know, you were working on it? Was it something that came up quick?
I actually write pretty quickly. I wrote the 5 chapters probably in a week and a half. And then I get, you know, I have my wife read it first, because I like to surround myself with people that aren't going to lie to me. You know, I don't want to be that guy in American Idol that sucks, but because everybody lied to me, I embarrass myself. So I actually go to people who are brutal. You know, they're going to be brutally honest. And my dad, of all people, he actually had a grown man, an author, cry and not want to write anymore because he was brutal. So, you know, when I write the scripts, and then, you know, I send my wife and some other people, and if they tell me, yeah, this is good, or, you know, this sucks or whatever, you know, I kind of believe them. I respect them. I go with it. But everybody loved it from the start, thank God. And he really enjoyed it. I got it to him right away. But unfortunately, the lag time between putting it into production and his passing, you know, it just didn't work out. So
Right. No. I mean, listen, we all know. We all know how production is on these things.
Yeah, he's a Purple Heart recipient. He got medals of accommodation. He, you know, he did his thing. He's one of many. We all, you know, I'm sure most of us have fathers that, you know, did wonderful things and sacrificed for us. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, God rest his soul.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, you made your goal. You had another 5 days. So hopefully, you know, you can, like you said, pack on some more money so you can have some more cash for issue 2. You know, good looking book. Very nice.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, and what type of frequency are you looking at? Are you looking at doing this 4 times this year, or like, what are you looking at?
It's tough because I publish other people from overseas as well as all the books I'm doing, and I have a campaign every month, and I have overlapping ones. Like I just had one finished for someone in Canada. I have another one starting, and then I have another book of mine starting in June. But I definitely want to get at least chapter 2 out before the end of the year, and maybe I could squeeze in 3. But I also hate to do campaigns around November, December with the holidays and expenses and things. So kind of got to see. But I'm just glad that this has funded and that hopefully it stays funded and we could just move forward from there. Because I mean, I really do. Obviously, we all believe in what we're doing or what are we doing, but I really do think it's a good story that people will enjoy. And touching on what Jay was saying before, I think fans are about branding more than anything these days, unfortunately. And like you can look at Nick's book and it's fantastic. You can read it and love it, but how many people are going to really give him a chance because he's Nick Capone, not Frank Miller, and that's not an indictment on Nick at all. It's just I think fans are about branding. You want the mongoose bike, not the Huffy. So I just hope that everybody on the panel gets the opportunity, that people have enough money to say, yeah, I want to get that book from Frank Miller or whoever, but you know what? I'm going to give that Nick Capone book a try too, because that looks like it deserves my attention. So I just hope people really pay attention to all of us hardworking indie creators, because yes, we do it for passion, but it takes money to make them, and we kill ourselves at day jobs that don't bring us fulfillment just so we can do this till 3 a.m. and then wake up 3 hours later to go back to work. So
Yep. Been there, done. Well, doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, listen, man, it looks great. I mean, like I said, you got another 5 days, so hopefully you can get a few more on there, man. Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you showing it.
Okay. All right. Now we got something jazzy going on. So, Chris, what do we got?
So we have what is my flagship that I've been doing for the last 2 years. This is Jazz, which stands for Juggernauts Against Zealots. It is a action manga-like comic. I am very inspired by the year of the 2000s media. So if you ever held on to a Dreamcast, or you've ever seen a commercial with Sonic, or if you've done both with Sonic on Dreamcast, this is where my thought process comes from. This story, in this cyberpunk city, portals appear over this city and spawn monsters. And with the monsters comes the allure of where they, where they come from, who's making the portals, who's doing, it's a bunch of questions that are going to be answered over time. But all we know right now is that there are 5 individuals who are augmented through their own technology that are fighting back against this small incursion, and they're trying to link these portals to their government, who is instead of giving the city protection, they're telling people to look away, and everything's fine. So you get a little bit of the detective investigation on how connected they are. This is the 3rd chapter. There are 4 chapters in total with Jazz Zero. I believe it's on Global Comics, but it's free to read. But Jazz 1, 2, and 3 are on here. Also attached to this campaign are my other books. So you're looking at Dream Match Revolution, which is a wrestling comic about a rookie whose only goal is to wrestle her idol and will do whatever it takes to do so. And then the one beneath it is Good Blood Money, which is a mature book about a assassin who is only killing to pay for her brother's medical bills. Very dark story on that one, but we've got stickers. We've got all types of yin yang going on here. Like I said before, this is my flagship. So if you've ever heard of me in passing, which you have not, this is what I'm mostly known for, give or take. But like I said, manga JD, who has a history with Tenchi Muyo and other anime projects, knows exactly where I'm coming from with this kind of direction. So so far it's been pretty good. This is my 3rd book in a series. It's also close to my lowest one. I didn't do much advertising, and I had a much shorter campaign because I'm trying to push it out ASAP because we're working on like I think 2 new IPs after this one. So I'm kind of trying to get this one out the door and fund it so we can work on the other other stuff. As you guys said earlier, the other passion projects.
Right. No, it's really cool. Look, it looks great, man. I mean, it's really nice looking. I love the style.
Well, thank you.
You know.
And sorry, was that Ash that does the art there?
Yeah. If are you guys familiar with Ash Kahari?
No.
Okay. I figured I was like, oh, so okay. Yeah, so my artist is actually one of my longtime friends in the space. She signed on to do the artwork for Jazz after Jazz Zero was finished. And we just kind of been back and forth the whole time. If it's not Jazz, she's working on Dream Match Revolution. Her wife works with me on Good Blood Money. But we have another project coming out later on this year that's supposed to be a lot more niche in a way. But I feel like the more niche I go, the better my profit margin and my creative well goes. And I feel like this is where I'm kind of headed at. So expect more weird things that are not the normal. Daphne probably she said earlier about the furry book she's done. I'm dipping my toes into the furry genre, so I might come back and ask you. Yeah, I might come back and ask you about it. I'm kind of curious on that.
So you said this is all right. So in this arc, how many issues do you think they're going to be?
In this exact arc, it's one more issue, so it should be up to 4, and then once 4 is finished, then we'll just drop it as a volume and go from there.
All right, cool. Listen, it looks awesome. I see you already funded, right? You got another 35 hours, so now's the time to jump on, folks. Get on there quick. So yeah, it's an awesome looking book, man. Very nice. All right, cool. Let's see.
And anybody who's looking into any of these books, right? Daphne put up the links at the beginning of the chat.
Yeah, they're in the chat.
All right, cool.
Let's jump on them, folks.
And then we got Sketch Night. Braden, what are we looking at?
Yeah. So this is Sketch Night. This is set in the same city as Haven. Kind of a connected universe, connected city, I like to say. And yeah, so I wanted to make a badass superhero that's in a wheelchair normally, that gets powers through mutations. That is kind of a mystery as of right now. And gets these cool powers, gets a cool hoverboard, and you kind of see more of a street level hero, inspired. A lot of inspiration from like Spider-Man and Full Metal Alchemist. These will be in like close ties with Haven. So this happens 2 days before the events of Haven, and so just keeping things kind of like closely connected in this shared universe. It follows William Wilde as he navigates high school, friendships, and then a crime syndicate that he has to deal with. And it's I wanted to do something again like more street level, less like intense than Haven. I feel like there's like emotionally you kind of like go through the ringer with that, but with Sketch Night I wanted something more kind of like set your own pace kind of thing, and just kind of like feel the vibes of the city. That's Sketch Night.
All right, cool. Now I see you using a different artist. So where did you find this guy?
On Facebook, just through like the groups, like the connecting artists with writers and all that stuff. Victor Silva is his name. Very, very talented artist. He's done great work. I keep lucking out. I don't know what it is with that, but yeah, I'm super happy with what we've been able to do.
All right, cool. Now, when do you expect to launch?
So want to launch in June. I want to give May kind of like as a pre-launch area, build up as many people as I can, and then June for sure.
All right, cool. It's looking good, man. Looks nice.
Thank you.
Looking good. All right, hold on. We're almost there, folks. We're almost there. Right? Who we got? Who we got?
No sticky keyboards.
No sticky keyboard.
Hey, I cleaned it. I cleaned it. It's fine now.
So what happens
Look, it's just easier to just throw it out and buy a new one.
what happens when
They're
you do too
affordable
many of
now.
those? So what happens when you do too many of those NSFW campaigns?
Uh-oh.
Well, yeah.
Daffy, want me to play the video?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
Yeah, I still can't get over that I have like 6 more issues to go to finish this. Although I did start issue 11, so yeah. So, Eager Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, is the story of a unicorn princess exiled into the mortal realm after she is betrayed by her elf prince husband-to-be, and dragons overtake her kingdom. But when Eager Raven becomes an unwitting pawn in a noble woman's attempt to avoid an arranged marriage, she trains to become a knight with the help of an unlikely trio of blacksmiths, hoping to ultimately win a king's favor and save her people. This is issue 10 of this 16-issue series. Eager Raven survives the trial of the tower and finally becomes a knight. Accompanied by her friends and a contingent of the royal guard, she makes her way back to reclaim her kingdom, but new treachery follows and threatens the entire quest. Oh my goodness, I still can't. Speaking of passion projects, this is it. It's a classic hero's journey with a soap opera twist featuring character relationship-centered stories and a fantasy setting with unicorns, elves, dragons, and furries. Like I said, good luck with your trying out a furry book. It's a bit of a challenge. But like I said, this is a passion project of mine. I actually, this story actually started off very, very, very long time ago as a She-Ra fanfic. And after binge watching other shows, other movies and shows like Ixer One and Violet Evergarden, as well as reading comics like ElfQuest and watching movies like The Last Unicorn and Lord of the Rings, I ended up eventually with this. If you enjoy escaping into epic fantasy stories of characters not afraid to be afraid and vulnerable in the face of dire adversity and come out on the other side, please pledge to Eager Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. We are very close to unlocking the first stretch goal, which unlocks a Eager Raven cosplay print with Eager Raven cosplaying as Chapel Roan at the Pink Unicorn Club. So we're almost there. And also, for anybody wondering how long it will take for this campaign to fulfill, I do have the proof here, which means that the files are ready to go to the printer once the campaign is over, and hopefully within like 2 weeks I will be fulfilling the campaign, so you won't have to wait that long after it ends. So
All right, cool.
mm-hmm.
So you got 11 days left.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. And and like I said, I'm really close to unlocking that first stretch goal. Although I would really like to unlock the second stretch goal, which is a sparkly glitter sticker that matches the print. So those pieces were really fun to make. So I want to share it with all of my backers.
Gotcha. All right. So how long before issue 11 is done?
Well, I did start it. I am 5 pages in a 32-page book already. So I'm hoping to have that done by the end of June, just in time for another campaign in July, hopefully.
All right. Very good. Very good. All right. So, well, look, you're already funded.
Yeah.
Another 11 days. So you're off to a good start. So, I think you'll finish strong.
Hopefully.
Very nice. All right. Everybody knows I don't really like pulling up my campaigns, but
well, it is struggling, so it needs. I think it needs attention.
So bad.
So
bad.
It's not doing as well.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed of you that you haven't broke the 100 grand mark yet.
My heart goes out to you. Jay.
Damn. Now look. It's not my. I'm a part of the campaign. It's not my campaign. All right. I'm a part of the campaign. This is Tenchi Muyo. As it says, the American Continuity Omnibus Collection. This is a book that I wrote in '97. 6-issue limited series based on the Tenchi Universe anime. So I was hired by Pioneer at the time. I was working for Central Park Media, doing some other stuff. And the editors left. And when they got to the other company, they said, hey, look, you want to do this? And I said, sure. And I went in there along with my buddy, Matt Lunsford. We went in there. We did this. I'm going to play this video real quick. This will explain everything. And all I can tell is everybody just go jump on it. All right? That's all I can say.
Hello there, Tenchi fans. Patria Burchard here, the voice of Ryoko, with an exciting announcement. Armature Entertainment is launching a Kickstarter campaign to reintroduce the 1997 Tenchi Muyo comics to readers old and new. For those unaware, Tenchi Muyo started out as an OVA series or direct-to-video release in Japan in 1992. From there, it became popular the world over for its mixing of sci-fi, comedy, romance, and, of course, zany adventures. When it became popular in America, these comics were made to try to appeal directly to American comic fans. This release, Tenchi Muyo, the American Tenchi Continuity Omnibus Edition, combines all 6 issues of the storyline Ryo Oki's Day, created by artist Matt Lunsford and writer J.D. Calderon, into one complete collection. This story features all of your favorite Tenchi characters, including Ryoko, of course, but also Mihoshi's dedicated partner Kiyone, as well as Nagi, Kenoki, and a myriad of other characters, all drawn in a style that's both a throwback and a fresh take on Tenchi Muyo as it used to be. Want to know the really cool part? If this campaign is successful enough, Armature Entertainment can continue the adventures of the Tenchi Gang. But now, that's up to you. You know, the carnival comes and goes. Well, it's finally back. So, don't miss it. Thank you all for supporting Armature Entertainment and Tenchi Muyo. Until next time.
So we have 1,012 backers, which is insane, and 14 days to go. So so it's doing all right. So
I did the lettering.
Daphne did the lettering. Daphne did letter that book. All right. So I guess we're back to the show. So let me ask a question to you guys. Okay, here's one. Do you feel you could survive in indie comics without crowdfunding? Right? Braden, you're up.
100%. I think I can survive in indie comics anyway, just because this is what I want to do. I think with anything, if you want to do it enough, like if you have enough go and determination with it. I think, yeah, I think 100%. Like, I truly believe I would find a way to make it work. No matter the circumstances. Kickstarter is great, but without crowdfunding, I mean, there's other avenues, and yeah, I just wouldn't want to stop.
All right, fair enough. Nick, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna say yes as well. I guess it's more of like a soft yes because I think a lot of people now are kind of reverting back to pre-crowdfunding days where they're either just putting it out themselves or trying to pitch to a publisher. Even with like Image and other royalty-based companies, people are still doing it. I think the one thing I like about crowdfunding is that it gives almost like a direct following, like the people who want your books, back your books, exactly who it's going to. I think reverting back to how it was, ironically, I think there's a little more of a gamble there, but it's always like a good gamble. You always want to aim to get your books into shops. And, now with all these different platforms, like, putting your book on Amazon, putting your book through, I just recently saw one of my friends got his comic approved and is now being sold at Walmart. So like there's always a way to do it. So I'm going to say yes, but I think we're in a time now where a lot of creators are used to crowdfunding, creators like myself who started publishing their books solely through crowdfunding. There is that risk of, just changing the pace and going through a different avenue, and, you might fail or you might, struggle, but I think there's always going to be a way. So who knows, in the next 5 years, a lot of creators might revert back to, how they were doing it for the past 30 plus years with indie comics, where you just like go back into the shops. So.
All right. That's fair. Phil, what are your thoughts?
I think with the digital age and internet and everything, you can succeed, but I think to forego crowdfunding is losing a very vital tool that you could wear on your belt. I do think crowdfunding has changed, though, like Nick said. I think the demographics have changed, etc. And with the big publishers like Dynamite and IDW and all these people, and then Robert Kirkman, Skybound, utilizing it, especially during a tough economy. Right now, there's no extra cash for the little guy. It's going to those big publishers that are not only in stores distribution-wise, but they're putting out these omnibuses like the G.I. Joe and the Transformers on crowdfunding. So whereas, like Nick was saying, crowdfunding became the thing used like a distribution hub for indie, I don't think it's there anymore. But I still think it is a vital, important tool. And you get things from it like that email list, knowing who you're, like Nick said, knowing who you're buying, who's buying your product. Some people are utilizing off their website in conjunction, and some people are using distribution through stores. And I do think because of the way distribution has been structured, with the middleman taking so much money, creators and gatekeeping, creators haven't really had a fair chance in distribution if they haven't already have the big built-in following, which we all know businesses don't like to take risks. They want you to have the following. But then that begs the question, well, what do I need you for then? But so that's why I'm not going to get into it here. I don't want to bog down the show, but I have my North American distribution that I'm starting the company, and I have a lot of people signed on. I have some reputable publishers coming with me as well, and I'm making it creator friendly, where I'm not trying to take your profits from you. You need to walk away as the creator with the percentage of the MSRP that you deserve. I'm very unpopular for this, and I really couldn't give a rat's ass, but the middleman always comes into every industry and they basically make as much money as they can off the backs of the people, the founders, the creators, the people who are putting all the blood, sweat, and tears, and then move on to the next, industry that they can do that to. And it's a shame because that's why we're ready to have another bubble burst, I think, in the industry like we did in the 90s. And I think structures have to change, and I think they are changing. And I think crowdfunding will always be a part of that because it is an important tool. But I think the way it's been used over the last, 5 to 8 years is evolving again. And people are finding other ways to not just solely rely on crowdfunding. But I do think you could survive without it, but I think you would survive better with it.
That's fair. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I mean, what's the like alternative for crowdfunding if it's not a way to both get money for your works and to build a whole audience? What we had prior to crowdfunding was the Wild West. I feel like it's a structure that I can't live without personally. If I were to lose it, I don't think I would be anywhere in indie comics. So no, I need it.
All right, that's fair. Jay, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was in this before crowdfunding. Right. I was doing the con circuit. That hustle of doing 2 or 3 cons a month. I don't get that in me. Right. I'm doing 2 or 3 a year, maybe, if that. Right. But it also shifts the idea of what I'm doing at a con. Right. So right now for me, a con is more of a marketing event. Whereas if it was not for crowdfunding, it would be a fully sales motivated event. Right. And I'd be worried about, okay, did I make enough to cover all of our expenses to cover this book, X, Y, and Z? And there's a bit more pressure. Whereas as a marketing event, a little bit more carefree. I'm inviting people into my living room, showing them my wares, right, when we're at the event, and putting forth a better face, right, not being stressed out. So I don't know if I want to go back to the hustling and the grind again of that. I'm going to be 50. Fuck that.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, I thought you were like 58 or something.
Motherfucker, if I'm 58, you're like 72.
Yeah, but I still look better than you.
Oh, come on. You got that LeBron pushback, bro. Come on, baby. That hairline is
holding me back.
That hairline is beyond the medulla oblongata for you, babe. Come on. Come on.
Okay. That's okay. I just like I can live out with that white beard of yours, Grandpa.
Oh, you like that? Yeah. Like that? You like my Stanley sideburns? You like that? Yeah, boy.
Just remember, Stanley made it. You can make it too.
They said Stanley didn't make his 80 million until Spider-Man 1 came out. So let's roll that back a sec.
Good for her. Good for her. Daphne. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, the money's nice on Kickstarter. Like I understand the thought of like not depending on a platform, especially lately. And sometimes you do have to think about, like, oh shit, what happens if, Kickstarter, disappeared? And the thing is, though, it's like, I did comics longer than Kickstarter existed. So in the end, it depends on what your definition of, making it in indie comics means. If it's actually doing comics, that happens with or without Kickstarter. Kickstarter makes it easier. Actually, the thing that I really appreciate Kickstarter for is that it allowed me to put myself on a schedule. Before we had San Diego Comic-Con to do that, we had to we always had to have something new for San Diego Comic-Con. So everything that we did was to that convention because you needed to show new items and even just to apply for a small press to be in the small press area. And once we stopped going to San Diego, I was doing comics anyway, but it didn't have the same focus until Kickstarter. And then once I kind of really, that's the parrot. That's the parrot. If everyone's just like, what the heck is that?
Yeah,
that's why I've been muted a lot of this time because he's been acting up. And it's like Kickstarter has given me that focus. That's like, it's like I could put out a book every quarter, so I have to like hunker down and keep that schedule. But yeah, it can I survive without Kickstarter? Yeah. Can I continue doing my work without Kickstarter? Sure. But yeah, I have to agree with the sentiment that's like, I wouldn't want to, considering the ROI on a Kickstarter is significantly more than what I get at a convention, and a convention is much more effort to do. So I would rather do a Kickstarter. But it's like it's like, yeah, he likes obnoxious noises as you can hear. He's less likely to say words, but if a sound annoys you, that's what he zeroes in on.
Yeah, he's trying to get the cat killed.
Yeah.
Somebody walked into the store. Dude.
Right.
New customer.
Yeah.
I thought one of you was trying to heckle her every time she spoke. I thought it was Jay in the background doing something. No offense, Jay.
That's the parrot.
All right. I mean, for myself, I think it's one of these things where it's like this. I feel the same way as Jay and Daphne and many of the others. Like, I don't. Could I do it? Sure, because I've done it before. But do I want to do it? No, because I don't want. Because Daphne and I, there was a period where, 4, 5, 6 years, we were doing a convention. At least 2 times a month, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. And we were all over the place, and we did that for years on top of San Diego. So it's like. It's not. I'd rather be at home in my PJs and packing books and doing that sort of thing and just posting. Just it's way easier. But could I do it? Sure, I could do it. I mean, in the end, if I had to write it in prose, I'd write it in prose. It wouldn't just be a comic. If I had to,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
So yeah, that's my sentiment. But Daphne, before I ask you to ask another question,
okay,
Phil. Because I did want to ask you about this because I know you would bring up the thing with the distribution. So I wanted to ask you because we're all independent, creators, we're all interested. So I want to know, what is it you're doing, with your distribution plans?
The model is similar to Diamond and Lunar, with a few tweaks that make it a little more store and creator friendly. My percentage is a lot less so that you can succeed. But it's basically the model of I have every store in North America, Canada, and the United States. I've been talking with them, working with them, emailing them, calling them, etc. And so far, about 67% say they're on board of the entire group. And basically what it is I would, if you are a publisher that's with my distribution, I would be sending out a digital catalog every month to these stores. These stores would place the orders. You would obviously, just hypothetically, because we're all new, you figure the orders will be low, and new distribution, say they're 800. Okay, you would get that invoice showing that the 800 orders came in. You would have to send me the books. I would ask for extra as well. If in case there's reorders or damages, it saves you money on shipping again. And I would ship the books out to all the stores on your behalf. We would also be putting out a newsletter every month to fans, letting them know that if you love that book by J.D. Calderon or Daphne or Jay or Nick or whoever, go to your local store and order it with confidence. Tell them you want it so that these stores are ordering with confidence. We will not take returns, but we will replace damages, of course. And the difference, you won't wait 8 weeks for a payout with me. As soon as I receive the books, you will get a digital payout. There's no need for you to wait 8 weeks because I am not doing COD. I think most people know that how Diamond works is when the driver drops the books, they take the check from the store as a cash on delivery. And, Diamond is claiming a lot of the problems they had is stores didn't have the money at the time, so they gave them credit. It hurt them. Well, we're not Marvel and DC. We're not the bread and butter. And so, one, they're not going to be large orders, so there's no reason why they can't prepay on the site. And two, with no disrespect to anyone, because we're not Marvel and DC and their bread and butter, I can't take that risk on behalf of everyone distributing. So there'll be a 2-month order period before the FOC cutoff. You can order at any time in the 2 months, but by the FOC, you must make the payment on the site. And then about a month to 5 weeks, the books will be in stores. So when I get that payment by the total amount of orders by the FOC and the payments have come into me, your money goes into an escrow for J.D. Calderon's publishing company. The second your books arrive to me, no issues, no count issues, no damages, etc., I will pay you out at that moment, so you have the money. So basically, you're laying out the print run, but 2 weeks later, you're getting, 3 weeks later, you're getting your money back. There's a little more to it, but that's the gist of it. And I can't name some of the bigger publishers yet because we're finishing up contractual obligations, and I don't want to be premature, but they're on board. Billy Tucci is on board with She, and we have a bunch of other people. Billy's the only one that's locked in right now. The rest, it's like 99% there. We have a lot of small publishers as well going, and I'll be publishing my own tragedy out. So I am just as invested as all of you publishers because I'm a publisher. I'm an Irishman. We fight and we drink, and I don't drink. I don't like people telling me what I can do. And I'm not going to be told my book isn't good enough by someone in the business. Let the fans tell me it's not good enough. They'll tell me. The market decides. If you believe in a free market, then you believe that if my book is worth it, they'll order it. If it's not, then they won't. And then at least I know I gave it a try. And I think, and I don't gatekeep. I mean, I have 2 criteria. Whatever you decide your frequency of distribution is going to be, and I'm not going to push you on that. It could be monthly. It could be a 5-issue miniseries monthly, every other month, etc. 2 things. You must meet that frequency. That's it, right? And I'm not here to tell you your artwork is good enough or bad enough, etc., because it's subjective, but your book does have to be professional. That's it. And just, I ask everybody to put a rating on the book because it saves everybody from litigation. You don't want a family, like Daphne says on her thing, it's for mature audiences. But if you look at the art and the premise, you might think it's a kid's book. A mother picks it up, looks at it, and has a shit fit. And next thing you know,
I've had people say things that it's like, oh, I can't wait to give this to my kids. It's like,
right?
No, wait, no.
Right,
I have it on my book. Yeah.
Now, I will not tell you what your cover price has to be, but I will make suggestions, obviously, because comic stores need to make money, but at the same time, you need to not lose money. Printing is expensive, and it's hard to find a good printer. I have a printer right now that that if anybody's struggling with that price, they can make it. Now, I'm not gonna say what my percentage is outwardly, but it is low. It's very low. Let's just say that you will walk away at least with 50% of your MSRP on your own book, which is how it should be. And people ask me, well, how can you do this low percentage? Because my overhead is low. I don't have 10, 20 warehouses all over the country. I don't have trucking. I have a small staff and myself, doing what I got to do. And I got kids, so that's slave labor. But Make them work, damn it. I have the facility where I live, temperature controlled and safe and insured to hold inventory. So I'm not looking to money grab anybody. I want you to succeed. I want the indie community. I want readers again. I want people to be able to see these books that are in an echo chamber right now. And I'm sorry to say we're in an echo chamber because of algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the difficulties of distribution are, one, who's going to help distribute you, and two, can you meet that monthly deadline? But if you're a guy, I don't know, just say like Nick, right? Nick's got one more issue in a series and he's going to put out a trade. Well, maybe Nick comes to me when the 4 issues are done and he says, I just want to put it out for 4 months straight, and then I'll put the trade out in 5. And he gets it out to a larger audience. You know, I mean, I can't control what the numbers and the orders are going to be, but I'll sure as hell do what I can to help. Like with the newsletter and things like that. So I'm also offering something else to people, even if they don't distribute through me. Because I have this list, which I'm not giving out to anyone, obviously. It took a lot to get, and I've been off it, actually, and I said no. Say Nick isn't distributing with me, but he wants his Kickstarter out. If for a small nominal fee, Nick gives me that flyer, I will put it in with every package that goes out to every store that is ordered to try to help get you out there. It will help crowdfunding. It will help you break the algorithm. I mean, because there are a lot of people, and at the worst case scenario, there may be people that they're intimidated by Kickstarter. They don't know how to use it, and they would have bought it, and if it was in a store, but they see Nick's flyer and he says, after the Kickstarter, contact me, they can go to his website, and it's generating traffic to his website. So we've gone so digital that everything is saturated now. How many emails do we all get a day from Kickstarters that we just click, delete, or look at quickly, we don't pay attention to? You're in a sea now, right? We're drowning. But we have to try to adjust. So if not only are you getting those email updates, et cetera, your newsletter, but you're actually giving a newsletter physically to stores, now who knows who you're reaching, right? I mean, that letter goes to stores, the stores put it out, it goes to Zap Comics in Jersey, right? And Corey's, going, oh, look, I forgot, Nick's got his campaign, and we put it up in the window, I mean, the idea is there's a lot of competition going on in the indie community, and I'm not one for that. I feel my stuff is good on its own, and if Daphne's doing great, that just makes everything better for everyone, because the more the community gets respect as an independent community, the more they're going to get eyes on us. There's no revenue in this community right now unless you're already a big name in the market. And the big names that are considered indie started in distribution. Billy Tucci, Brian Polito started in distribution, and that following came with them over to Kickstarter. And of course, they're doing great things, and they're smart businessmen, and they're earning what they do. But they did start in distribution, and that's where you're going to get new, fresh eyes across the country. That's where you're going to get the casual that is just walking in a store and goes, oh, I like, the Bad Girls from the 90s. What is this? And check it out. That maybe they wouldn't see it because the Kickstarter algorithm has you 75 campaigns down.
Yeah.
So I am in distribution. Again, I'm new. So we're working on the relationships. I don't know what the numbers are going to be for anybody. But it will be the same type of service as Diamond and Lunar, but more creator friendly, so you can win. We need to win, guys. We need to win. Enough is enough.
Mm-hmm. So, Phil, real quick, when do you expect the launch? Either a soft launch or hard launch? When do you expect that to happen?
So, Bleeding Cool is going to do my press release, he says, and others will follow. And I have other marketing outside of the social media realm that we're doing. July 1st, the catalog will go out. The FOC for the first order run will be September 1st, with books launching in stores on October 15th. Okay. And then, of course, it's every month after that, a new catalog comes out, and then we move the other books into a reorder section. So that way, like again, just using people on the panel, if Chris or Braden or anybody, you put your book 1 out and maybe you got 800 orders, the next month they're ordering book 2 before book 1's out. But that's how it is with Diamond already too. That's how it is. They order, but by the time book 3 comes, they'll know how you're doing because book 1 has already had its orders, book 2's got its orders. You know what I'm saying? And they'll go from there. And it'll be monthly. Now, if you come to me like, look, I can't do a monthly schedule. I've got 3 books in. I got 1 more to do. I'd like to do it quarterly. That's your business. I'm not your publishing company. I'm the mailman. Who the hell am I to tell you what to do with your publishing company? And some people say, well, is that good business? Because, you got to make your money. Again, the percentage I take off the distribution is not my moneymaker. This isn't my job. You know what I'm saying? I don't have overhead that requires more than I'm taking. I will make a profit on my percentage based on the more publishers I have on board. It's that old adage, right? It's the slow dime or the fast nickel, right? So, or is it the other way around? Fast dime, slow nickel, right? So I've done the math a million times. I've been working on this for a long time. Like my campaigns, I work with a lot of Marvel DC artists, Chris Picciolo, Will Spatasio, and people would say to me, why the hell are you working with them for Kickstarter? Nobody on Kickstarter cares. I never plan to stay there. I've been working at this for a while. I'm gray because I don't sleep. And I want to win. I don't like to lose. And I don't believe in a no-win scenario. And I'm not accepting that our only option is this. I'm not. And maybe this doesn't succeed. I don't know. But I'm sure as hell going to find out by giving it my best try. And anybody who wants to come aboard, I want you to succeed too.
What's the name of the distribution company?
Filbo Distribution.
Okay.
Now the name comes from my wife. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and I have huge feet, so she calls me Filbo. So I'm taking the 2 most important things in my life, my family first and comics second, and I put them together.
Okay. Do you have a website for the
I do, but it is not a retailer website. It is for LCS to sign up. It's behind a wall because I don't want, obviously you give the retailers a discount, and the public can't be privy to that, So we've had quite a few signups already. I'm actually more than I expected. I'm very, very happy with that. It's nerve-wracking. You're hoping the LCS buy into this. But people, look, guys, I'm 52, and there's older guys like me that feel like comics aren't written for us anymore. Okay. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of young people are not really liking where comics are right now in the Western world, right now, Marvel, DC, etc. They're kind of, how much can you write about a character for 3,000 issues? Like 1,000 issues and 15 miniseries. So there are people that want to read ongoing series again. They just don't like what's out there. They want something fresh, something new, maybe something from the start. I'm number 1 again. I mean, and you know how I know there's people that want ongoing series, despite people clamoring that's not true? I don't buy it. You know why? What was one of the biggest reasons people got pissed off in Marvel DC? The constant reboots. Mm-hmm. They want continuity. They want a monthly to go out. They want to feel like it's Christmas on a Wednesday again. They want that. They just aren't getting it.
I even say that for like Marvel too, especially like I tell new people, have fun trying to read an X-Men book these days. The continuity is dog shit.
Yeah.
In order to understand what's happening in this new series, you have to read 5 other series, and for the new reader of X-Men, the new fan, that's very overbearing. That's very overwhelming.
Right.
So, like it's not, and especially too, another gripe I have that they do is like, I was just saying this to my girlfriend today. Every character has a spider suit. Every character has an iron suit. Like it's boring. It's like nothing, like extravagant. Like I agree. Yeah.
And if you think about it, independents like us, we're not beholden to shareholders, or we don't have those editors like you mentioned before that are saying you have to do it this way. We're going to do what we want. Yeah. And that lets the fans be your editor. I didn't like it. All right. Then you decide to readjust or do something new. But at least they're getting something new, something fresh, something that is passion driven, something that is a love for the medium. And I think we need that injection into the industry again. I really do. I'm very passionate about this. I look at all of you and I know how much you care about your properties. And I know how you're frustrated, like I am, when you see sometimes it's baffling to see what people latch onto and will throw millions of dollars at, and you're like, but why aren't you paying attention to this? This is like really good. You know, like I mentioned Randy Zimmerman before, he's putting out fantastic stuff, you know, and a lot of us are. But we're just in the same, we're that hamster on a wheel. Well, something's got to break. And the downside to distribution is, well, who the hell can afford it?
Yeah.
Well, now you can.
All right. Cool. Does anybody have any questions for Phil?
So where do I contact you, Phil, about that?
Man, I answer everybody. I promise you I will. It may take a day, but I will always get back to everybody. Anybody who wants to reach out to me, you just Facebook DM me. You know, but do me a favor. If we're not friends, introduce yourself. Don't just say, hey, yo, what's up? Or send me a link. I'm not opening any damn links from people I don't know. I don't even open them from people I know, because who knows if somebody hacked them. You know, just approach me in a way that I will want to respond. I guess, you know, it's not about ego. It's about, you just don't know who the hell's reaching out to you these days and for what, you know. So just DM me and I promise I'll get back to you. You can also, if you want, my email is contact@filboentertainment.com.
All right, cool. Okay. All right. Daphne, you got a quick question?
I don't know. I guess it depends on how everybody answers. Have you ever had a point, and this is kind of like something that I thought about when I was listening to an interview with Rick Rubin. He's founder of Def Jam. Have you ever had a point where you wondered, it's like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have monetized this. Maybe I should have just like kept this as my passion project and maybe just, you know, made money elsewhere so that I could just not worry about whether this thing is profitable or not. Have you ever had that?
Can I start? I got it.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead. We'll start with Jay for a change.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't make money here at all, so I have to make money elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. We're breaking even, baby. We're breaking even.
Is that what you tell your wife?
You know she watches. Don't blow my shit up right now, bro. Come on.
I'm just saying. Okay. We won't talk about all the Reddit. I'm sorry. I think we're up to Nick. So Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a loaded question, because it's like, on one end, I do agree that it's like sometimes I worry about the monster that I'm about to create, if that makes sense. Like, if it's like, oh, what have I done? Like, you know, that very cliche movie moment when like the villain realizes, oh, what have I done? But no, in all realness, you know, there are moments when I do feel that, you know, maybe it should be kind of kept more, because then I would have like what we were talking about, like full reign over everything. I'm not really gearing the writing towards what people want. It's more what I want. But at the same time, I, you know, like I've been wanting to do what I'm doing now since I was a little kid. So I also am a firm believer where, you know, I'll do whatever it takes to get, you know, if it means monetize something, still get a feel of what, you know, the readers want, but, you know, always remember that they liked your product since like the beginning. So, you know, it's not like they want you to completely scrap it and like, you know, make something else. Like, you could make something else off of that, fine. But like, I think that's the thing that keeps me going, where monetizing wouldn't scare me, because I know that it's, you know, what I wanted to do since like I was, you know, a little kid. And I'm always a firm believer too, especially with this career, as difficult as this career can get, I'm only 8 years in, you know, I'm still a baby in this industry, but like even with the hardships, one mantra I always say, even with my own books that I put out, I'm like, where there is a will, there is a way. So I always try and figure out how to, you know, keep that passion in. And if it is my passion project, how to like, you know, if I want to monetize it, how do I, how will I still remain, like, how will that passion still remain going forward? So like I said, it is a very low question because I could kind of see both aspects of it, like the money making aspect and then the, you know, the passion aspect. So I'm still trying to essentially just find that happy medium in the mix.
All right, fair enough. Phil, what are your thoughts?
Well, the closest to it I'd say is Papa right now, because I just want to put out the book. Unfortunately, I need somebody to help make the book. But if there was any book that I would just put out just to put out and not care about money, it would be that. But you know, if I was wealthy, yeah, I just put out books for the hell of it. I mean, why not? You know, but unfortunately, being where we are, we need the money to help make the books. But I do think if I had the ability, sure, I would just want to share the stories with people. I mean, yesterday for Free Comic Book Day, I put up 5 digital PDFs for 24 hours on my Facebook page for anybody to read. So, yeah, I don't think everything has to make $1, especially if it means something to you.
All right, cool. Chris, what are you thinking?
I've already hit that point. That's why Jazz Chapter 0 went from being a Kickstarter book to a book that I was selling at bookstores to just being a free book that you can now get digitally. I just felt like I needed a good entryway into my series, and I think people are able to buy in early, but I feel like if I give you a free chapter, then that will entice you. It's like a marketing thing, but yeah, that's already happened to me. So I kind of had that whole experience.
All right, cool. Braden, what are you thinking?
Kind of to piggyback off Phil's answer, Haven probably would have been that for me. When I started out, Haven, it was just a passion project. I actually started writing it because my uncle died of cancer, so I can relate to you there. And yeah, I just really wanted to make it out. Didn't think the whole Kickstarter comic community and everything else. Didn't know anything about any of that. And then when I did decide to go the Kickstarter route, meeting all of you guys and everybody else in the comic book community and learning a lot. I'm happy with the direction that it took and kind of where we are. And yeah, kind of to what Phil said, you need money to make the book. Being able to recoup those costs and stuff is nice and yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. For myself, it's weird, right? Because starting off so young when I did, the thought of like not doing it for sale never crossed my mind, right? When I was first starting out, I was like 15, 16 years old. It was just comic books. I paid for comics. You sold comics, right? So that was just always the thing. And I knew it cost X amount to print and it cost X amount to create. So the thought of that didn't probably occur to maybe later or maybe something like the Oswald Chronicles. But even then, I mean, like to Phil's point, if I had endless amounts of cash, sure, I would just, do it and not even worry about it. But, or the other route would have been just to write it in prose. But even then I would have want to release it and I would sell it at that point. Even at that point, I would, whether it be a prose, because when I initially started Oswald, it was just prose and I was selling small books, small chapbooks at conventions and it was selling. So, no matter what, I was always doing something to try to make some money off of it. So yeah, I mean, just doing it and not selling it, that's rare that it even crosses my mind to just give it away. I mean, I appreciate it, but I just don't feel quite that altruistic. I'd rather earn the money, and if I do feel some altruism, I'll just donate it to St. Jude's or something. So, so Daphne, answer your own question.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, it's like it wasn't the thought of like, oh, like not selling it, but I mean, because like for me, it's like just sometimes the pressure of just like trying to figure out, like the marketing and trying to like, counting the numbers on Kickstarter, every Kickstarter campaign. And it's like trying to figure out, how do I move? And it's like, it just gets to a point. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. It would have been just easier if I just get a job, get the money that way, and then just do the book and just like put it out and not have to worry about, I guess, like the financial aspect, like it earning its keep kind of
cut it out.
Yeah, and and it's like, yeah, and it's like especially lately, I don't know, it's like I've just been in like this weird headspace about that, where it's like, it's like there just comes a point where it's like, this is fucking tiring. And it's like, yeah, so it's like, I mean, I'm still doing Kickstarter and all that, but it's like, sometimes it's like the kind of like the back end part of that just sometimes feels like it's getting in the way. And it's like, and it's like, yeah, like I said, it's like, it's just put me in like this kind of like weird headspace. So it's like, I don't know, Yeah.
Just got to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. So we made it to hour 2, ladies and gentlemen. Good job. Thank you so much. So let's start off with Braden. Braden, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Haven Comic on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We have sketch night in pre-launch, so go get notified. And gonna be a good book, good times.
All right, cool. Nick, where can they find you and your work, sir?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter under @NickCaponeArt. On Instagram too, I have Instagram for my publisher, Sky Maiden Studios. It's @SkyMaidenStudios, or just on Facebook @Nick Capone. So, yeah, those where you can find me, or you can find me at a local coffee shop in New Jersey somewhere.
Jersey's a big state, man.
A lot of stores,
a lot of coffee houses.
Yeah, a lot of them.
All right, Phil, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Philbo Publishing on Instagram and Facebook, or Phil Russert, on Facebook, Instagram, and tell your local comic shop to pay attention to Philbo distribution so they can get new, fresh ideas and stories.
All right, cool. Chris?
Just like where my name says right here on the screen, Chris Style Inc. I'm on Twitter, Blue Sky. If you're looking for me on Instagram, it's Crystyle_Inc. I typically am more active on Twitter than I am everywhere else, so I'm trying to work on that. If you find me on Facebook, I go on Facebook every 6 months. So not really active on there. It's just family on there, but yeah.
All right, cool. Chris, let me ask you a question real quick, man. It says writer and best dresser. How would we ever know?
Dang, that's true.
Sometimes you just have to have that confidence.
I got you, but I'm just saying,
it's all vibes. It's all vibes.
It's an affirmation.
Yeah. I got on this like silk road right now.
Nice. Okay. The rest of us just want proof. That's all. Jay, where can they find you your work, sir?
UnstoppableComics.com. You'll find all my social media links on the website. Friday nights, you will find me on Comic Book Streamland, sometimes with that guy and anybody else who wants to come on through. Doors always open. We chop it up the same way we're doing it over here. And then on June 20th, I'll be in Augusta, Georgia at Joe Fest, showing off the figures, and New York Comic Con coming this October.
All right, cool. Daphne?
Oh, you can find me at my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you're interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress updates. And you can also find me at my channel on YouTube at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, for an archive of all the videos on how I make my work, and also for my semi-weekly art live streams Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern.
All right, cool. And I am your host, JD Calderon. You can find me on Kickstarter. So with Tenchi Muyo, Yasuo Chronicles soon, and Magi's Grace #2 very soon as well. Facebook, Instagram, DeviantArt, Twitter, all those different places. So, you can find me all the different places. And yeah, sometimes with Jay on his Friday show. All right. So until next time, everyone, thank you so much. And remember, check out the links on the show notes. All right. Everybody's books are in there. So click on those links, pick up some of these books. All of these creators are doing fantastic work. All of these creators put their heart and souls into these. So please pick up some of these books. They're awesome books. All of them are doing great books. And just remember, everybody, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Night.
Thanks for having me on. Good night.
Later.
Later.